With national unemployment still over 8% and local unemployment at about the same level, a lot of people are looking for jobs. The City of Bristol, Tennessee employs about 350 people and do occasionally have openings for new employees. We talked to Human Resource Director Belva Hale about the requirements and the benefits of working for the City of Bristol.
Everyone has to have a minimum of a GED or high school diploma. That we require for every position. Other than that, everyone has to have a valid driver's license. Some positions will require CDL. When we advertise the position, we let folks know that if there's something specific we're looking for. Other than that, it really depends on the position. And as a general rule, it just can be that there's heavy lifting, it's labor intensive, it can be that it requires a lot of organizational skills, excellent people skills. You know, we are in the customer service business, and so that's something that we really look for. If you move to our area, both Tennessee and Virginia require within a certain amount of time that you get a license for that state. But as long as it's valid in Virginia or Tennessee, we're fine with that.
If there are currently no job openings, will the city accept applications?
We will accept an application, but the truth is it goes into a generic file. You're better served to apply for a position when it's opened. And we do list all those on our website. For every opening that we have, as long as it's an external position that we advertise, it will be in local papers. But our website's the best place to look, and that's bristoltn.org. When you go to our webpage, on the right-hand side in the top corner, there's an icon that says Organization. If you click on that, you'll have a drop box, and when you go to Human Resources Department, it has different icons there, and one of them says what jobs are available, and then the other talks about applying for a job. And when you click on the Applying the Job icon, it takes you to where you can get our application. You can fill it out online, but you do have to print it and then send it to us by either mail or fax, both of which will be listed in the ad on how to do that.
Would someone who's lived here for a long time have an advantage over someone who's just moved here?
I don't know that I would say you would take them just because they're local. I think sometimes it depends on the position as to how well someone understands our culture, because that can be critical, especially if it's a position where you're dealing with folks a lot.
Resumes are always important, but what kind of resume catches the eye of the potential employer?
A lot of times what you're looking for is obviously someone who appears to be organized, they write well, someone who's succinct but still says what they want to say. I think that's very important. But it's also a background, you know, what have you done with your career, or what education do you have? For some positions, it's certifications that are very, you know, critical. But I would honestly say someone who writes well, says what they want to say, and says it in a short fashion, usually catches your eye quickly.
Applying for a position in the police or the fire department is a little different.
The application process is the same initially. We have one application for all positions within the city. Once you complete that, we do annual testing for both police and fire. And as a matter of fact, that's coming up. The tests themselves are different. And the police testing is a lot about memory, how well you can recognize someone, what specifics you remember about them. There's a study guide that folks study for a few minutes before they take the test. And so a lot of it's just how well you can keep track of information. Are you good at recognizing faces? Are you good at putting details together? Obviously you have to be physically fit, but with firefighters and their testing, it's more about entries into buildings and how structures of buildings work, because obviously that's a lot of what they do. And it's really geared more towards the actual firefighting side than it is EMT or paramedic, although there are a few questions in the test that apply to that as well. And then we'll take all the applications that we've gotten throughout the year, which could be 100, it could be 150, we're never quite sure how many we'll have. We submit a letter to them, and we ask that they complete a bottom portion of that letter and send it back to us. That way we know they still want to be tested, they're still interested and they haven't found employment somewhere else. And once we get the scoring back, then the police officer, the major and the chief will sit down and decide how many folks they want to bring in. Sometimes it's the entire group that they'll do the physical agility, but normally they'll pick maybe the top 25 folks and say come in to do the testing, to do the physical testing on that.
So you've applied for the job, gone through the interviews, and you've been selected. What then?
If you're offered the position, then what we'll do is we have an offer letter, and you sign the letter, and that gives that lets you know that there is a drug test, there is a physical, and for some positions, depending on what they are, there is another thing which goes through what's called a work steps program. And basically it verifies that you have the ability to do certain physical requirements that position may have. You would have that for a maintenance worker, a mechanic, a transit driver, things that tend to be more labor intensive. And once we get the results back from that, then you're actually brought on board, okay? The drug testing is your standard 10-panel test. The physical itself is pretty much just a basic physical. And then the work steps process is very specific to your job. Once you start your job, then we have an orientation that is pretty extensive. We go over all of our policies. And then our benefits plan is we do carry health insurance. We have a life insurance and a long-term disability plan that the city pays for you. We do offer retirement through our Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. For new employees, you do contribute 5% of your salary into that. We also have a fitness center that our employees have access to. It's a small center but has very nice equipment in it. If we hire you and you do your job well, then the likelihood of being laid off is virtually nil. I mean, we try very, very hard to make sure that if you're brought on board, you have a consistent place to work. You know, if you come and you try your best and you do a good job for us, then we're going to try to do whatever it takes to make sure everyone stays on payroll and make sure that we're not the next Enron or WorldCom. You know, it's a very stable environment, and not a lot of places you go can say that.